does a bit of dancing in the backfield, gets free, then quickly delivers. Second option is there. Murphy Curran with the goal.
Hello and welcome to the women's final of the Rising High tournament. We are on pitch number 1, named after a Winter Wonderland character named Elsa. That has been the theme throughout this Winter Wonderland edition, the 15th edition of the tournament already. My name is Rachel Dosnerova and I am joined in the commentary booth by my lovely favorite father of my child, John Doherty. We have just witnessed an incredible comeback by Frisbee against Copenhagen Hucks in the Rising Division final. The Danes eventually walking away with the victory, but what a performance by both of these open teams. The only thing that we can say as the negative was that they took up so much time of this women's final that the ladies had to wait on the sideline for quite some time to wait their turn. Here is a nice defense by Duisbabes, the German team in this women's final, who are facing off Flying Rabbit Zouz. And they have started this point on offense, I believe, but there have been quite a few turnovers already. And here are Flying Rabbits with a first chance to score a break, and they do with a quick dish into the end zone. That's a first score for them and a first point of this game.
Yeah, both these teams yesterday, they played a Swiss draw format. There were 7 teams in the division. Neither of them actually made it to the top of the Swiss draw format. I believe Duisbabes in the straight to semis would have ended up playing Ude Cologne, who were comfortably the best team in the Swiss draw, but I guess that would have been a bit of an upset. And then Flying Rabbits would have played against Amsterdam Ultimate as the 2v3 seed, which would have been the other semi-final. And yeah, both these teams getting here, having lost games previously, but doesn't really matter if you lose games previously if you still end up in the final. So we've seen both these teams yesterday, and at times both of them look good. We thought they were going to be potentially both getting into the top 4 after we had seen the way the last game yesterday went. Duisbabes ended up in 4th place despite having a really big win in their last game, and perhaps showing that maybe they were somewhat underseeded in that last game, as they did take out the number 1 seeds from the Swiss draw in the semi-finals.
That is a lot of information to take in. Thank you for that, John. In any case, we've just received the information from the organizers that regardless of the jingles, we should not get confused, and this final will play out for the full 60 minutes, which has been the length of the games throughout the entire tournament. Duisbabes sporting their green jerseys this time. We saw them in flashy pink yesterday out of Bochum, Germany. Here is Oliviere, one of the most experienced handlers, frequent participant at beach tournaments, including some national teams as well as masters. There she is again, facing off the Flying Rabbits zone. Not surprised to see some zone defense. It served well the German counterparts in the last game. And that is a nice high release backhand through the first cup. Back to Olivieri. Here is the big forehand. It's hanging high, but luckily no defender in sight. Nicely brought down by Dietzen. Trümper now with the disc. Goes backward to Jordan. Another main character in the handler setup, and Olivieri overthrowing that one. A couple of open receivers in that corner, but the wind just taking the best out of that shot.
Yeah, hopefully the wind doesn't pick up too much. It was enough of a factor in the last game to make the game interesting, but not enough to ruin it. So if we keep that level of wind, it should make for some fun highlight moments in this game potentially, but it shouldn't be enough to impact the quality of the game.
Flying Rabbits finally finding the open receiver, making its way back from the deep cut. I can already say I'm going to struggle a little bit with the contrast on these orange jerseys. Definitely preferred their light version where the numbers were a bit more visible. Quick motion now. Oh, and then the receiver gets scared by the approaching defense. And it's Duisbabes back on O. And they take the disc right back. Orange flashing through the trajectory of the disc. And Dijon picking up for Flying Rabbits. High release backhand, nicely read. Two receivers going for that disc. Oliver Lopez is the one who comes down with it. And La Moulin now working with Dijon again in the handler space. Flying Rabbits nearing a potential second break of the game. If they can keep their cool and wait for the right cut into the end zone. That is a bit too long of a disc. We've seen quite a few throwaways in this direction in the last game, so it is a bit of a side when you can see the flags sort of blowing in the direction of the camera. So whatever you're going to throw towards the near sideline, you must really focus on releasing it at the right time. Otherwise, the wind will push it away from your teammate. Jordan centering to Dietzen. Swinging all the way to Trümper. Trümper attempting to crash the cup. A full-on wall of Belgian bodies in front of the green offense. Olivieri now working with Völke. Now they managed to find some holes in the wall. Swinging the disc around. Continuation. Nice grab from Trümper. But this high disc intended for Olivieri ends right in the hands of Dijon. Lefty high release. Oh, couldn't hold on to that disc quite well enough. And Jordan to pick up once more. Dietzen was faking the deep shot. There are options downfield, but I have to say that both teams, Duisbabes and Flying Rabbits, featuring slightly shorter rosters at this tournament. So after 2 days and the incredibly difficult weather conditions that we've had yesterday, I'm sure the fatigue must be setting in. And a deep shot goes up. Two potential receivers underneath it. Oh, and neither able to hold on to it. And we're finally getting some response from the stands, as well as the fans starts gathering up for the final games of the tournament. Given that the games got pushed back due to the delay on the last one, I think we will get even more than we would normally do, because other teams will finish up early. Jordan staying as the poach in the open side. But Flying Rabbits eventually find the open option. But even though the receiver for the deep shot was completely free, the disc couldn't quite make it all the way there.
Yeah, I think both these teams just struggling a bit in this point with the conditions. I think they warmed up in slightly different conditions, and now that the game has started after the delay, the weather has changed, so they're probably ready for a different type of game than this one. But both getting a chance to figure it out here. Also, just on their previous games, they did play yesterday. I think we had them on the stream yesterday, and I believe Flying Rabbits won that one. But if you were to look at the scorelines this morning, I think the semi-final win for Duisbabes against Ude Cologne, who were the team who topped the group, both these teams won their semi-finals by 6 or 7 points. I think you would say that the form is with Duisbabes right now, but on paper against each other, Flying Rabbits got the win yesterday. So should be a pretty even matchup, and if this point is anything to go by, this one could go right down to the wire as well.
A cool throw by Lamoulin. I'm not sure if she intended that one. Oh, and what a grab! Unfortunately called out, but excellent effort by Flying Rabbits there. It is quite difficult to keep going down this near sideline. We've already mentioned this. There's a pretty strong side wind on the pitch. Jordan to the middle with a big backhand to Dietzen. Olivieri, lovely forehand put, but slips off the fingertips and immediately moved by the Flying Rabbits on the far sideline, which is actually great positioning when you're nearing the end zone, because you want to make sure you have enough space. Oh, and a lucky save. That's Advier. Oh, and a high backhand. Olivieri underneath it.
Rips the disc out of her hand, saying offense first, my friend, and follows up with the next pass. I think they're going to have a discussion here, but I think if they caught it at the same time, you're just going to have to say that maybe this goal stands, but perhaps they're just going to bring it back, saying somehow it might have affected the play, but bit of a weird one.
Looks like Adviel will keep possession. She's a lefty, so a high release backhand to the break side should not be a problem for her, but once again, that direction of throwing proves so difficult to execute. And Flying Rabbits left with nothing else but to set up their wall once more. Already quite a long point. It's only the second one in this game. Jordan will work with Olivieri and Trümper. Now that's a nice pop over the first cup. Dietzen now to Trümper, all the way on the other side of the pitch, but not fully used to their advantage. Trümper examining the downfield. Jordan sort of pointing to the spaces where she would like her teammates to go in order to hit them. But so much difficult wind conditions. Look at that. Oh, that's a lovely grab. Number 29, Stephanie Voss, brings that down for Duisbabes. And that's a big backhand. It's curving into the end zone. And I think that's the second time that Van Dreyer tried to catch that disc in the end zone. And once again, she got unlucky. The disc bouncing off her chest.
I think maybe the defender getting a touch onto it at the last second also just threw off what she had to catch, and actually ended up making it potentially more likely she'd catch it if she was able to react to it. But very hard to react there. When that disc coming down, it's picking up speed because it's coming down with the wind. So as it came down, it just got faster and faster, and then that last second deflection making it even more difficult. So very hard one to catch there for the receiver.
Well, Duisbabes in a good position to potentially get the D and work with a shorter field, but Dejean gets that one off. Flying Rabbits now moving backwards, and despite the second chance, Olivieri now attacking quickly towards the end zone. Trümper back to Olivieri. Olivieri to Trümper, and that's finally a score for Duisbabes. They make sure that they stay close. 1-1 currently the score in the women's final of Rising High 2025 Winter Wonderland edition, being supported by the tree fluff representing the snow.
Yeah, I think that one, even though maybe that was close to a 12-minute point, and it was the Duisbabes O-line, I do think they showed lots of good patience and the ability to work the disc there. And if I was, even though it might sound a bit funny to say, I might slightly favour them based on seeing that they're capable of working the disc that much, despite how long it did take their O-line to end up putting that one in. So if the Flying Rabbits offense can make it look kind of easy here, playing in this wind, then maybe I would shift my opinion. But if this is another similar point, I might start to give the edge to Duisbabes to be the team that might end up getting the result in this game. But again, very, very early to try and make these predictions. And like we said yesterday, Flying Rabbits were the team that came out victorious between the two of these teams. But as we said, it's a final and different approaches can be taken for the final. So we'll see how this game goes.
Flying Rabbits only having about 14 players on their roster. The Germans bringing about 2 more. But before you think, oh, it's just a 2-day tournament, do remember that there was a hat tournament that a lot of these players were participating in on Saturday. It might play a role when you make it to the late stages of the tournament and are really trying hard to go for the prize pool.
Oh yes, in case people don't know, the winners of each division, they get 7 player fees paid for next year if their team decides to return this year. So essentially they're playing for a cash prize in this tournament. I'm not sure what the player fee price is, but 7 player fees paid for a tournament of this quality is probably a prize worth winning for. So even if you didn't care about coming first, you'd probably care about your club saving a nice, a reasonable price, reasonable amount of money to get into this tournament next year.
Nice toe in by Rabea Brandt earlier, but despite that, the possession is lost for Duisbabes once again. So a second chance for Flying Rabbits. Some last second instructions before the disc gets picked up for her teammates. Coming from Van Tichelen. Van Tichelen trying to get open again, and that was a high stall situation. Nice heads up play by Adviel. She puts the disc up. Centered to Masson. And a big backhand. Can it make it all the way to the end zone? Dropped disc. That's unfortunate. That was a lovely bit of play, using the whole width of the field to move the disc. And here are the Germans. But Adviel says no. Intercepts the deep pass. And Orange goes the other way. Oh, and a foot block by Olivieri, giving her team another chance for an early break. Low grab and a lefty forehead for Olivieri. That one is not far enough. And the halftime jingle you're hearing is not valid for this game, but rather for all the other games who will be shortened, as it is not the case for this women's final that will play out the full 60 minutes. So for those of you who are planning to watch the open or high division final, let it be known that it will be postponed by 10 minutes, which is the time that we'll need to set up. And it looks like there will be a timeout in this long point. The team's getting tired, making sure that they do not lose focus. And as they huddle up, we're going to take a short break in the commentary booth ourselves.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back after the timeout in this Rising High women's final. We've got Duisbabes out of Germany facing off the Flying Rabbits Zouz out of Belgium. It's been a rough start of the game. The wind that we have experienced so much yesterday has not been making it easy on these ladies. However, the score is currently quite even. We're exactly at 1-1, and I believe the Flying Rabbits have started this point on offense, and they have also been the ones to have taken the timeout. But a short field for Duisbabes. Could they get a break here? They would certainly love to. Olivieri with the disc, moving it to Brandt. And here it is, a score for Duisbabes. It is the short figure of Lea Gunevig with the score. Let me see if I can get you some info on them. In any case, the Germans making a slightly better use of that timeout than the team who actually took it.
Yeah, wrap it up now. I think that's the game decided. I think Duisbabes were the team that I thought if they had a good start, they were going to be able to win this. I think Flying Rabbits needed to make that O point look a bit easier. I realized the last O point actually took longer, but I was a bit unsure. If I saw a really impressive O point by Rabbits there, I would think they would be favourites for this. But I'm going putting my money down on Duisbabes now, just because of some previous results in the last games, and I think they've looked a bit more impressive in this game. They've looked the more likely team to be able to score that slightly upwind, and then to come in off a timeout in that corner. Even just calling the timeout in that position on the field is probably not the best place to call a timeout. You just give the other team an opportunity to come in and put you in a terrible spot. So everything bar the very first point of the game, where Flying Rabbits scored very quickly, would make me think that Duisbabes are the team currently with the higher chance of winning this game. But again, it is early and it's going to continue to be a bit of a messy game because of the conditions, so hard to know for sure. But
an errant throw from Romain gives one more chance to Jordan to show off her handling skills. That is a lovely crossfield forehand for Greta Fulke to collect, and she gives it straight back to Jordan, who's going to attack through the inside channel, and this time not sure if the mark got a hand on that, but the disc lands on turf. Orange quickly moving the other way. Good pressure from Jordan to take away that easy inside, that easy open side cut. Oliver Lopez takes the dump pass, and this attempt at the deep shot proving a bit too difficult. Duisbabes working with the wind a little better, but of course, as I say that, the disc ends up in the hands of Lamoulin. Oh, and a nice second chance grab.
yeah, the wind really picking up here for the viewers at home. It's throwing anything now is pretty difficult, so if you notice every short pass looks kind of poor right now, trust me, the wind is not pleasant to play in at this exact moment for these players.
Dejonte going backwards. Now this pass was probably worth what a a nice deep shot would have been worth in a normal game.
Agreed.
Lamoulan. Sideways to Walsh. Lefty forehand, certainly an advantage. Romain on the near sideline. Back to Adviel. Oh, that is an unfortunate drop. They were doing so well.
Yeah, almost making me eat my words there. I felt Duisbabes were the team playing a lot better, but that was a really good passage of play in the wind, but unfortunate drop. So wind has died down now, so a quick chance for no more chance.
Given right back by Team Green. And here are the Belgians. They should be used to this kind of wind. We've all been to Belgium, be it Elite Invite or be it EUCF or be it Tom's. And we know just how much the wind is a common occurrence there. Flying Rabbits really nearing the end zone there. They should score this one if they want to stay alive. Adviel puts one to the back of the end zone, and I think an accepted foul as there was a collision between the player and the defender. Uncontested, yes. Accepted, signaled, so I think it will be called
foul or a strip. It depends, because I think she had it. I guess it just depends if she was in bounds. I think if she caught it and it's in bounds, it's a goal. Not it will be a strip. But perhaps she was out of bounds, so not entirely sure what's going on here.
An accepted foul.
I guess she didn't have control and just dropped it, and that's why she's taken back to front. For me, I thought she had it, and I thought it should be a strip.
So
but,
did I, yeah.
From here, again, maybe they obviously had the better view than we did, and no one's disagreeing, so I think it's fair to say that it was a foul, and she did not end up with the disc.
So she will take it to the front of the end zone, gives it back to De Jong, and they work it around. Oh, the receiver gets a hand on it. I think that was Miriam Trumpa using her tall frame.
Yeah, saves the goal there. And I think this is a big point for Flying Rabbits. I think they need to get this one. I think they're playing in the slightly more favourable way. I still fancy Duisbabes' chance to possibly score. What? Again, it's hard to say with this wind. It's all over the place. But it feels like the way Flying Rabbits are playing right now seems like the slightly easier way to score. But again, the flags on the other side perhaps suggesting otherwise, as we've said all weekend.
De Jong finding Adviel on the far sideline. Oliver Lopez to the middle to De Jong. And De Jong, I don't know if that was the intended receiver or not, but Laura Oliver Lopez with the score for Flying Rabbits. It took them a long time, but they finally made it. And they are staying ahead in this game. They go up 2-1. Maybe about something about Laura is she says she started playing Ultimate because of her friends. She's been playing for 3 years, currently lives in Brussels. And her role is normally an offensive cutter, and she showed that in the last point as well, making sure that points get scored regardless of who the throw was meant for.
Yeah, I feel like here in the commentary booth, whatever side I feel like is playing in the easier direction from where I'm standing, looking at the throws on the field, it seems to be the opposite way. So maybe for the second half we need to just get out there and stand on the other side of the field or something, because whenever I feel like one team is playing the tougher way, they seem to be scoring it, and the wind is strong enough that I don't feel it can really be that wrong every time over here. So that looked like a really good passage of play by Flying Rabbits, and perhaps their previous point wasn't a fair representation. I know there was a lot of turns in that point, but they look confident at times. And again, I think this is going to be a close game. I still slightly favour Duisbabes based on previous form today and a close loss yesterday in similar conditions. It's hard to beat the same team twice. But I do think this one could go right down to the wire.
Pretty good pull from Flying Rabbits. Maybe even longer than some of the pulls in the open division that we have seen earlier. Jordan winds up, thinks about the backhand for a second, but then stops to just chill out with her handler friends. Flying Rabbits once again with that wall. And it's just been Jordan. Now with Olivieri. Oh, that was a close one. Oh, and the next one just a little out of reach and towards the defender instead. So this time it's the Flying Rabbits with a chance to break.
Yeah, some good work in the zone there out of 36 for Flying Rabbits on the edge of the wall. Adjusting her footwork at the right time to make those throws that seem like easy dumps a bit more tighter than they look and generating some extra pressure.
De Jons to Adviel. Adviel trying to find the other Adviel because we've got two number 35s on the field. Probably not with the same name. If you are following us in the chat on YouTube, do let us know if you know these ladies so that we can address them by their real and proper name. In any case, Duisbabes back on offense. Olivier swinging the disc wide to Gunevik. And she gets the disc in the middle again. Jordan. They bringing some more people in the mix. Spiegelberg is the lefty handler on this Bochum squad. Sporting the backwards cap. Lots of very short passes. It's 1 forward, 5 back. But at least, you know, they're valuing the possession of the disc more than the game. So Olivieri, as I say that, goes for the huge scooper, knowing that she's going downwind. And look at that forehand pass. It is Adviel who gets there first.
It's a really nice scooper as well in these conditions. Want to give a shout out to it.
And look at that Huckendee tactics. Olivieri wastes no time. And she has an open receiver in the end zone. And the sideline and the stands are going nuts. That is a hold for Duisbabes.
Yes, and sometimes in points like these, just getting a score feels like a lot because there's going to be a lot of points here. This might not be a very high-scoring game, so every point in this game might feel like 2 points in a normal game to 15 because perhaps we might only get to about 7 points whoever wins this game. So every point you get is getting you a big chunk of the way to what I think might be the winning score margin in this game, or the winning final score. I mean, but I would guess maybe the winning team here might end up with about 7 or 8. Be very, very difficult to see it going much further than that unless one team just goes on a massive run. And again, I didn't think this would be the two teams in the final. The Ude Cologne team looked very strong in the draw yesterday, but they got beaten, I think it was 10-4 or 11-4 by Duisbabes in the semi-final, and that's partially the reason why I'm starting to give Duisbabes the edge in this game. But Flying Rabbits also looking really good at times as well, so should be a close game right down to the end.
And we're getting some more insider info in the chat. Thank you, Der Frips. Duisbabes is a pickup team and a combination of Bono Babes from Bochum and players from Duisburg. Good to know, good to know. We are definitely now in the second half of the time slot. About 25 minutes left on the clock. A high disc knocked down by the green shirts. And each team making sure that there's always a break chance given. So far, none taken. Dejean slowly walking to the disc. She has been the go-to person to pick up for Flying Rabbits. The 34-year-old currently lives in Brussels. And she's got the disc again here, but that looked like a painful catch in terms of hitting the fingers. Laura Oliver Lopez will have to recover from that one. That's a good gainer from Gunevik. Looking for her reset. Goes wide. Swings it to Brandt. Oh, and Brandt almost gets a disc injury herself. The disc sort of hitting her in the face. Dijon with Lamoulin in the handler space. That is a lovely put. Orange using the fact that the wind has died down a little bit. Nice grab. Oh, and that one is high, but luckily Lamoulin is there to collect it. Losing some meters, but then losing possession straight away after. One more chance for the Germans. If they could get this one, it would be big. Even though we have mostly side wind, this is the slightly harder direction to go in. Dietzen with a big gainer to Van Dreyer. Trümper says no on that one. Doesn't want to risk the deep shot. Brandt activating the reset. Centering the disc. She's gonna get it again because of that flying rabbit poach in the open side. Now that's a great step around for Gunevik, but she's got no continuation. Sweet inside put for Voss. Oh, and here's the low grab. Was that on the ground? Yes, it was. Trümper got low, but not low enough to get there on time. It will be the Belgians who will try their luck against the wind once more. High disc. Trümper gets it right back, and she tries to go for the quick score. No, once again the disc too high.
I think both these teams feeling like this point is starting to drag on like a couple of the previous ones. So as soon as she got that disc near the end zone and saw a receiver, I think she was just excited to try and end this point by trying to throw it in. I didn't actually initially see the intended receiver, but maybe closer than it looked from here. But Flying Rabbits in a tough spot here, and feel like the momentum would suggest Duisbabes are going to end up scoring this one. It's going to take a big effort by Flying Rabbits to get out of this spot unless they can complete a really nice hook or something here. It's just hard to see either of these teams going the entire field in one passage of play.
Dijon trying to keep her composure, and she does as she finds the open receiver. If I were Duisbabes right now, I would 100% give everything at this stage to try to keep the disc in this third of the field. But some really courageous fighting out of the orange shirts. We do see a little bit of frustration as they're trying to find their open players downfield. High release. Oh, what a grab! Lovely save by number 73, Ines Iglesias Walsh.
Defender maxed it back in, but I think if she didn't touch that, it would have been caught anyway by the receiver behind her. A bit unlucky there. Pick called.
Dijon will probably get the disc back here. You gotta give it to them. That is a lot of effort that they're putting in. They're taking so many passes in this difficult wind.
Yeah, I've been impressed that they've managed. Well, I realize they've almost had 2 turns so far, but I've been impressed that they've held on to the disc for this many passes going this way. I did say it would be very tough for a team to work the whole field without a hook, but they've got it about halfway so far. So let's see if they need to use that hook or if they can keep it working it here.
Like we said, that's the only thing you can do is really just to focus on one thing at a time. So just getting the disc off. Look at that one. Again, almost saved, almost caught by Oliver Lopez.
I think she's not friends with the wind today. It seems she's had a lot of discs coming in at her fast that she's just not able to hold on to.
Lots of hand damage. Brandt also stuck for options a little bit. Flying Rabbits doing a good job sort of standing in between the disc and the receivers. Lots of players underneath. Völke almost got there on time.
Yeah, it's just
But
tough to get anything going in this wind. I realize if you're maybe watching, you might not find this the most entertaining game, but it's there's some really good passages of play here in time given the conditions. So again, might not look spectacular, but a lot of these throws are requiring a high level of difficulty to get them right. So
oh, and a foot block does not stop this passage of play. They continue to have this. Lopez finally able in the previous part of the field to catch that disc, get her hands on it. Oh, and a wobble, still caught. Great awareness by the ladies in orange. Belgium unfazed with this, with those unfortunate wobbles and drops, but on the last pass unable to complete. So now it's their turn to apply as much pressure as possible to make the next potential offensive bit of play for them easier.
yeah, I think they did the hard part. They got the disc from their own end zone eventually down to the other end zone. So again, I don't think one team's going to work the whole field here without a good bit of luck. So I can imagine Flying Rabbits are going to expect to get another chance on this disc unless there's a really nice deep shot completed.
Gunevik finds Trümper. Trümper towards the middle to Brandt. They use the inside channel to move the disc towards the far sideline. That is a high grab for Brandt, but she catches the disc securely. She's looking for a reset. She gets it. Now that's a difficult disc. No continuation for Völke. Now Trümper once more. Inside channel wide open, but they decide against it. Voss centering again to Brandt. Brandt's got that inside forehand open. Instead, she goes for Trümper! And that is a break score for Duisbabes.
Yeah, that's a really big break there to get that one. And again, they basically proved me wrong on that one, working it the whole way. It did require a bit of an aggressive, kind of essentially a hook near the end, but she didn't have to put the power of a hook into it. She just put it right into that corner, knew her receiver would get it. Got a small bit of luck or one or two good grabs along the way, but just a really good offensive passage of play there. And I'd feel a little bit unlucky almost if I was Flying Rabbits there, that they got the disc the whole way down the field and then they just had a miscommunication, and then as bad as that is, they still had the disc at the other end zone, and then Duisbabes go the length of the field and get the score. And I do feel both these teams are capable of working in this, and perhaps Duisbabes showing there that they maybe have the slight edge in that, but to go the whole field there is a bit of a killer for Flying Rabbits, especially for it to be a break and now to be down 4-2 with only maybe less than 20 minutes left. Given how long each of these points are taken, it's going to require 2 breaks to get back into the lead here.
Well, you never know. We could have some shorter points as well.
Or we could have a comeback like we had in the last game, but we'd need Duisbabes to go up by 1 or 2 more points first, I think, to get that kind of drama again.
I don't know if the organizers would allow it. They might need to extend their rental for the fields
until tomorrow.
Don't know if they've accounted for all the finals to take 15 minutes longer than anticipated. But back to the action on the field. Adviel is gonna work with Van Tichelen in the backfield. And of course, it wouldn't be a complete handler setup without Dejean. A lefty forehand makes its way to Adviel, and Dejean now through the middle. Oh, it slips through the hands. Jordan catches it. She wants that big backhand. She does take it. Oh, and that's a great read by Gudevig. Can they follow it up? No, they will go backwards to Jordan. Jordan winds up with that backhand. They're going to play the positioning game, but 2 players get in the way. And it is not the Germans who will catch it. So
yeah, I thought maybe she was aiming that one for a different receiver in the back corner with the backhand. It looked like an interesting throw if that was her intended receiver, but
Adviel. High release backhand. Olivieri will knock that one away. And she's going to strike for the end zone. She's got Jordan, and Jordan's got the throw. Can Olivieri run it down? Yes, she can. You can do it in Masters H2. And look at that. That's another break. And a pretty quick score, John.
Yeah, again, even another break there. Just last one felt like a killer. I feel like we say sometimes, Neil, in the coffee one, this one feels like getting close to being a insurmountable task now for Rabbits to come back. We've got 15 minutes left. There's been 7 scores in total, and if they're going to win this game, they're going to need to score 4 more than their opposition. So they'd have to score more points in the last 20-ish minutes than they did in the whole 45 minutes so far. So again, I thought at the start Duisbabes had the slight advantage in these conditions, despite results suggesting otherwise, and I think they're starting to show it there. Obviously a bit of luck on a lot of these and some good grabs and plays, but again, 2 pretty evenly matched teams overall, but Duisbabes just seem to have the edge right now, and I'm not sure what real adjustments Flying Rabbits can make, because I think with Duisbabes, I feel they have that extra advantage in their deep game. So I feel both teams, if you told them, hey, you're not allowed to throw the disc more than 15 meters upfield at a time, I feel this game would be a draw. But I think Duisbabes just have that extra deep threat, that extra bit of maybe an aerial advantage under some of those, but they just seem to have slightly stronger throws that can get the disc down the field further, and just having that extra advantage just adds a lot in these conditions, because the defense has to work harder on the other side to stop both your deep game and your under game, whereas Duisbabes are more just concerned about stopping the under game, I think, of Flying Rabbits.
Great analysis, John. I think Duisbabes will have just gained such a big advantage by creating this buffer, because now they can take slightly more risks and be maybe a little less cautious about keeping possession, and potentially gain some of that distance that has been serving them well in the past few points. But Flying Rabbits looking eager to stay in this final, not ready to give up just yet. There is still time, and we have seen teams come out of worse, and that cap 1 is always something that can really help you out. Here is Lopez giving the disc back to Adviel de Jonte. Oh, sorry, Masson, with a floaty backhand into the end zone for the score. And I'm happy that we jinxed it the last time. We said we could have a couple of quick points, but this was even a clean hold for Flying Rabbits Zouz. So that was definitely the first one in this game. And if we can carry on in this fashion, we might even make it to 8. John, what you think?
Perhaps. Yeah, really, 2 really nice throws in that point. The first one, kind of leading pass hook down the sideline, almost from the middle of the field to the far side of the field, and then that last throw in the wind to throw it up like that and get it to come down. It helps when your receiver has done a good job and got wide open, but 2 really good throws there, and that's some of the, like you said, I think it's the first clean hold of the game, so good to see Flying Rabbits maybe starting to bring a bit of the form that obviously got them to this final, and I feel like this one here is a pretty big point. I think if Flying Rabbits can even get close to scoring in this one, or I think then they're starting to show maybe they've turned the game around a bit, but I think if Duisbabes can score this one, maybe without Flying Rabbits getting it into their own half. So if Duisbabes get it into the Flying Rabbits hat and it never leaves that half before they score, I think Duisbabes will run away with it. But a break here for Flying Rabbits would certainly kind of, in my opinion, turn the game a bit on its head, because suddenly it's a 1-point game, and I think they would have scored probably in the most difficult side of the field. So I feel like this point here is potentially somewhat decisive in who's going to win this game.
They are bringing back the zone. I think that might also have been a factor that they weren't able to put it up quickly enough whenever there was a turn. Olivieri going to Spiegelberg, who's also got that lefty advantage. Brandt now with Jordan. Back to Brandt through the first cup. Going downwind, I was just about to say that the Germans make it look easy working against the zone, but a drop gives the Rabbits a chance to stay in this game. Can they make good use of it?
They've done the first part. They've gotten it into the other half, having the disc in their own half. So they've done part one of what I thought would be something to show me, but just unable to maintain it and get it much further than that.
Heads up D from Jordan. Brandt now has the disc and gives it to Jordan again, and we know who she will be looking for or what she will want. Spiegelberg with Jordan, swinging it big to Olivieri. She continues immediately, tries to go for the upline. She gets it, fakes the around, and goes for the scooper one more time. Spiegelberg, I mean, what kind of magicians are these ladies? What a throw and what a grab. That is another break for Duisbabes.
Yeah, I think that's for me, that's the decisive point there. I thought if Flying Rabbits were to have a chance, I would at least want to see them getting a turn there, and maybe not even necessarily having to score, but just show that they're capable of stringing a few passes together in this direction. But I think they get the turn near the halfway line, and within maybe 3 passes they turn over again, and then they get just punished very efficiently. Duisbabes taking their second chance, and just really nice scooper to get them into space, and then you have to give a lot of credit to that flick throw for the assist. That's, again, in these conditions it's not easy, and we did say that I think the Duisbabes players have a couple of perhaps stronger throwers, but that was not an easy throw, and she made it look like there was no wind at all. Nice snappy one, and yeah, I think I feel it's a very difficult situation for Flying Rabbits here, but I thought in the last game in the Rising final that I thought the two teams were slightly more evenly matched, and I was surprised that Frusport were down by so much. I could have predicted maybe this kind of scoreline in this game, so I'm thinking it's less likely there's going to be such a comeback in this game, but again, you never know. It's not over till it's over.
About 8 minutes left on the clock. Bit of sagging on the handlers from the Germans. And a collision downfield will result in an accepted foul on Lamoulin. We see the open teams warming up for the open final. We will let you know more about that in a second. High backhand disc, and the defense gets there first. Nice heads up by Stephanie Voss. Olivieri picking up. She's got the backhand open. Thinks about the around, but goes for the inside channel. I mean, that is some heads-up play from Trümper and Olivieri. Trümper finding the outstretched arm from Dietzen. Back to Trümper. She's got the break side open. She gets it for another score. Another break for the Duisbabes. That was number 29, Stephanie Voss, with the score, but it is looking like there was a stall out about 15 minutes ago on Olivieri. So that means on that inside backhand huck.
Yeah, it was a really nice technical throw in the end that she did get it out to the target she was looking for. Maybe some people, I thought High Stall got lucky, but I do think she intended to throw it to that receiver.
Oh yeah, exactly. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she's a handler experienced enough to make use of the wind. But it's looking like she won't contest that stall out call, and it will be the Rabbits with another chance. Good coverage, good pressure. They center it off after all. Now managing the to move the disc quickly. They're entering the second half of the field. High release, but collected by Van Tichelen.
Yeah, she's been one of their best players so far this weekend. She seems to be involved every time they're doing something good, whether it's on ORD. She seems heavily involved, so they're going to need her to have a really big performance for the rest of this game if they're going to want to try and turn this around. She's been impressive in this game.
Dietzen walk into the disc slowly. High release for Trümper. Drömpa's got a receiver striking deep, but they won't take the chance. They want to secure this victory. They know there isn't that much time left on the clock. Stephanie Voss to Drömpa. Drömpa winding up to Olivieri. Now they go for a quick give and go. And that is a lovely put right in front of the end zone. Can they get off the one more pass? Yes, they do. And that's a grab and another break for Duisbabes. They go up 7-3. And with less than 4 minutes on the clock, it looks like they will be the ones winning the trophy of Rising High Winter Wonderland Edition.
Yeah, like I said, I thought maybe the winning score of this game might be whoever gets to 7 or 8 points first, but I did think the scoreline might be a little bit closer also. So again, Duisbabes just showing maybe they just have that bit extra, like I said, just a little bit extra power in some of those throws in this wind. Couple of big grabs. It is one of those games where the scoreline is maybe a little closer than it suggested, but I feel like this is a relatively fair scoreline for what I was seeing in the game so far. And again, just hard to imagine a comeback in the current situation. Yesterday, I think this might have been close to the final score in the game. I think Flying Rabbits won by 2 or 3 points yesterday on the stream, but again, the semi-final results today, Duisbabes getting a really impressive result against Ude Cologne, who were the best team yesterday, and seems they've saved their best for finals day, which is when it matters most, I guess.
Well, Duisbabes really took it away in the second half there. But now it's the Flying Rabbits that are on offense. Look at that grab, interception by Olivieri. She is not done showing off what she can do in this final. Can she run this one down? She will be outrun by the Flying Rabbits offense, and I think that would be called a travel. We need to consider where the disc sort of crossed the line.
Yeah, I think she's just calling it just in case she thought the player was going to do a big loop to the front of the end zone, which maybe would have been fine, but slows down the offensive Flying Rabbits, but maybe not a bad thing.
And a high disc. There is the continuation to the end zone. They don't take it, instead find the wide open player in the middle of the pitch, and now there's a bit of a mismatch downfield, but the Germans managed to compose themselves. Aviel to receive the disc. Well, at least one of them should be called that name when they're wearing that jersey. Dump pass received securely. Lefty advantage activated. Flying Rabbits going backwards, but here is the pass to the end zone. Celia Dejean on the receiving end, and they're able to make it look a bit better on their side of the scoreboard. 7-4, they lower the difference between the two teams. Let's see if it's a bit too late for that or not. Less than 2 minutes to the end of time in the women's final of Rising High 2025.
Yeah, I think if they could have had a couple more points like that, that's maybe one of their better, possibly their best point in this game. They did have a clean hold a while ago, and they just haven't been consistent enough in playing like that, which has been the problem. They did look off a deep shot, which I was going to say maybe this is a part of the difference between the teams when they looked off a deep shot that I think Duisbabes might have thrown for a score, but they didn't end up working it and scoring. So again, they show they're capable of doing it, and I do think the wind has died down a little bit now, but if the wind picks up at the right times and Duisbabes have turns and they can Flying Rabbits can continue to play that kind of offense when they get the turns, then potentially they will get enough chances to win this game. But they're kind of depending on getting a little bit of luck at the right time now, as I think they kind of need the wind to pick up when Duisbabes have the disc and for it to die down a little bit when they have it. But like I said, that was a really good offensive point, and if they can do a bit more of that, they're in with a chance, but it would seem unlikely at this stage.
So what's going to happen now is that the players are going to finish up this point, then we're going to add 1 to the top score. So we're either going to play to 8 or to 5, to 8 or 9, depending on the outcome of the upcoming point. Duisbabes starting on offense. And a deep shot goes to the ground, and so does the intended receiver, Lea Gunevik, who's making a really nice cut to the front corner of the end zone. And Flying Rabbits staying alive. And a second chance for Duisbabes. This time a tiny bit closer to the end zone. They go for the around swing. Jordan is there. She will go for the deep shot. We know she loves to hock it. And the defender turns away from the disc as it approaches them. And they punch another one in. It will be, ladies and gentlemen, a game to 9 in this women's final.
Yeah, I think they're just Flying Rabbits a bit unfortunate. The defender maybe just didn't hear the upshout and look for the disc. I was sure as soon as that disc was thrown that the defender was going to be the one who gets there first, but the offensive player obviously has the advantage of knowing the disc is being thrown to them and adjusted their position, runs in and catches that disc before the defender realized it was coming their way. So again, I think Flying Rabbits obviously would have needed that one, and I think Duisbabes now will be wondering if they can finish this game with a break, whereas Flying Rabbits will be just trying to say, hey, let's keep ourselves in this for one more point.
In any case, we are approaching the last streamed game of this tournament. It will be the open final in the high division. We will have UFO 1, so the A team, facing off the Nightwings out of Belgium. So an exciting open final coming up. We hope you do join us for the stream. If you are too busy working, maybe because we do realize it's a Monday for some of you, feel free to join us next weekend for the London invite. We've got 15 free games on our YouTube channel and then about 30 more for the members and patrons. And here are Flying Rabbits losing the disc to Duisbabes, who will be looking to close this game. They are working the in cuts. Spielberg unfortunately drops that disc as it wobbles out of her hand. So one more chance. Dejan with a big hug. Oh my God, what a grab! I can't believe she's not in yet. That was heroic effort and a big forehand. It will be collected. 2 layouts. Was she in? Impossible for us to know.
Don't think she was able to hold on to it, but a fantastic grab on the first one as the disc goes over what I thought was the intended receiver's head, who basically just got in her teammate's way, but she makes a great layout grab in front of the end zone, and just a bit unfortunate with the follow-up throw that she slightly maybe overthrew her receiver and it went OB, but they're going to get another chance here anyway, so.
Can't believe the effort. The Flying Rabbits are still putting it. Look at that beautiful break side around throw. She gets it again in front of the end zone. There is so little missing, and Flying Rabbits do make their play. Oh, never mind. Fans proud. There was a travel call, so it looks like the disc will be sent back. Not much Flying Rabbits can do with that one. But Dejan will look into the end zone and try to do it again. And yes, they do. Big applause. Big round of clapping hands from the sideline. Flying Rabbits not ready to give up just yet, but they have a long way to go if they want to climb their way back to the title.
Yeah, I think they deserve that one. Couple of great plays in there, good throws, nice focus on the grabs. Small bit unlucky to not score earlier, but given the disc back again, and then they play a bit better. And I think maybe just Flying Rabbits just took a little bit too long to get going in this game, or maybe not too long because they did start okay, but they just had a between the maybe the middle maybe the second fifth of the game, shall we call it? Second and third, fifth of the game, how I describe it. They just seem to not really be able to get anything going while Duisbabes did. But again, they did get this score. I think they're very capable of getting another one. If they get to 6 or if they can get to 7, I'm going to say there's a chance. But I think I would expect Duisbabes to score in one of their next 2 points. But the viewers at home will be hoping maybe we can get a couple of breaks here.
Walking in the winter wonderland is orange and green. Women's final is on the line. Flying Rabbits hyped to get another break and force these Germans to stay on the pitch a bit longer. And here is the D just off of the first pass. Excellent effort by Flying Rabbits. I believe that was Adviel who got the D there, and now she's running to get the first pass. Big backhand, keeping the disc moving to Babier. Here is Oliver Lopez. This time her fingers staying fully clawed around that disc, but this forehand left the hand slightly awkwardly. Big forehand for Trumpa. She will have to go back to Dietzen. Gainer for Voss. She goes sideways. Trumpa gets the reset and is working with Gunevik. High grab, good save von Brandt. Oh, and that one just out of reach for Trumpa. Lots of pressure from Flying Rabbits. Determined to force that break, knowing that they're currently going the easier direction. Van Tichelen. Inside channel, overthrown.
And the one advantage of turning here is you're still forcing the other team to work the entire field, so I don't think they're going to mind too much turning over as long as they're turning over near the other team's end zone. Very difficult for a team to go the full length of the field here. I know the last time I said that it basically happened, but that's why I'm saying it again, because it was an impressive passage of play last time. So I think they'll be just looking to put on pressure, and the wind picks up now, and we said maybe they need wind at the right time, so they're getting it right now when they need it.
Gunevik. We have a player get low for that one. And a foul called, accepted immediately. A bit of a collision on that catch to Brandt. This goes back into play. Oh, that's a nice one-handed grab by Gunevik. She will have Brandt again or not. That is very good defense. Trumpa gets low, but again, the disc rolls out of her palm. And we've got Lamoulin trying to give some extra seconds to her team to get ready for offense. Romain holds on to the disc. Adviel. Lefty backhand towards the middle of the pitch. Van Tichelen. Oh, this one is a bit too high. Who's going to run it down? A huddle of players. Again, not enough communication to make sure who's going to get there first. And it's the wind that takes it all the way into the far end zone.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there. Missed the intended receiver. I thought the next receiver that was in the space was going to get it. But again, Duisbabes here are going to have to work it up the whole field. And I think the wind did pick up on that very last throw. But again, a bit of wind at the right time for Flying Rabbits here. Duisbabes going to have to play against the wind here, but shoots it straight deep.
Oh my lord, what a put. But defenders underneath it first. Now it's the Germans' turn to really try to take advantage of this pick call. I was surprised that Adviel was that free. And the disc goes back to Van Tichelen. A little bit of a discussion again. So we will see if this will become a recurring theme for the finals.
Yeah, I think she's saying maybe her defender shouldn't catch up that much turn. Well, I didn't see it. I might agree. It didn't look like the Duisbabes defense was going incredibly fast there all round after that turn. It did seem like Flying Rabbits were getting on with it quicker.
La Moulin in the middle. She's got the disc again, almost in the same spot. Big backhand collected on the far sideline by Oliver Lopez. Oh, and that one goes to the ground one more time.
I feel like maybe this one could be it now. I could see Duisbabes definitely capable of scoring from the halfway line. I felt when there was turns in the end zone it was less dangerous, but now it just takes one good throw and you can end the game here. So a lot more pressure on the defenders. They have to be more aware of the deep threats here now also. She gets the hand block. So I don't think she cares too much.
That was, oh, and gets a cramp in return. That is just unfortunate. She looked so hyped and she was ready to start us off with a big first cut, but Romaine will have to go to the sideline. You can see her limping as the exerted effort of the past few days.
Getting a cramp is bad enough, having to try and walk off while you have one is even worse. So maybe it's a bit more of an injury than a cramp. I don't know if I'd be able to get someone to help me walk off the field if I cramp, so perhaps an ankle injury, I'm not sure.
So we've got a few more fans joining in. Some of them are in the stands. Thanks for tuning in. Flying Rabbits currently trying to do the same as Frisbee did in the last final. They're nearing the end zone dangerously, trying to score another break. Reset to Adviel. And a curving throw despite the layout effort. Disc is once again out of reach of the orange shirts. They're getting so close every time.
Not sure we could appreciate how close it looked here. It actually looked like she might have touched it with a trailing hand grab as it was drifting away from her. So really good effort and just a bit unfortunate. Unable to get it, but again, Flying Rabbits here not in a bad position. Duisbabes need to go the whole field and it is windy.
Duisbabes on the far sideline. Oh, they do get to the break side, but that throw is just too short. La Moulin takes a few seconds before she picks up for probably at least the 5th time this time. In this point. High grab, Adviel not ready to give up. And here is the score! That's a break for Flying Rabbits. La Moulin with a break for her orange team. Staying alive are the Belgians in this women's Rising High final.
Yeah, great to see the fight to the end. They haven't given up yet, and in these conditions you never know. I thought if I'd wait till maybe they get to 7 before I start to believe, so I'd still think they're in a bit of a tough spot here. I think Duisbabes on the last point, it was always going to be difficult to score into the end zone that they were playing into, so now Duisbabes here with a chance to maybe score into the slightly easier end zone to finish it, but if not, it means they get broken, and I think if they don't score this one, we could be going to Universe Point again, which I was pretty sure wasn't going to be happening a while ago. I still think it's pretty unlikely, but I feel Duisbabes need to score this one, otherwise it's suddenly a very different game. Again, the scoreboards on this far side of the field determined to give us slightly different scores.
We are correct.
Yeah, they're showing us 9-6, so regardless,
we are playing to 9.
Whatever the players think won't matter too much in this point, as they definitely don't think it's Universe Point anyway.
So Here is the green line, the experience of Jordan and Olivieri all on the line. Spielberg also in the handler mix. Look at that put into the end zone. Too far for Trümper.
Yeah, Flying Rabbit's going to get a chance here, and I tell you, if they score in this from here in this position in one passage of play, I will definitely believe they could go on and win this game. Bit of wind playing into the more difficult end zone from the middle of their own end zone. Let's see how they do. So travel call to start the play. And they're going to get another go at it here. So here we go again.
Trümper making sure everyone is set. And the Germans making sure that the first pass ends up on the ground. And Jordan, determination exuding from her. Here is Hoover in front of the end zone for the score. That is what we've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. The Germans finally do it. Props to Flying Rabbits. They have made heroic effort to stay in this game as long as possible. The finals are not over yet. We've got the open one coming up, UFO 1, facing off the Nightwings from Belgium. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, joining us in the chat. We have to get ready for the next game, so we would just like to thank you for watching and participating in the chat. And for now, we're checking out. My name was Rachel, and I was here with John and Milan behind the camera.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
So can I get some closure?